Now, Brian Williams, who was recently placed on a 6-month unpaid leave of absence, could be fired by NBC for the cascade of revelations about his habit of embellishing his stories. It prompted fellow NBC anchor Lester Holt to make this announcement.
And now to the story many of you are talking about tonight, and one that for us not only hits close to home, but in our home. Brian Williams, anchor and managing editor of Nightly News, has been suspended by NBC management for 6 months without pay.
Now that more examples are piling up, executives are apparently looking into whether Williams violated his contract. Joining us in studio to break down the clause in the contract and tell us what Williams can do to possibly save his career is entertainment attorney Dominic Romano. Thanks so much for your time, sir. Now, what in Williams's morality clause can actually see him being fired from NBC?
Well, the morality clause itself hasn't been made public, but if it's similar to other clauses with on-air talent, it's if his behavior brought the company into public disrepute or scandal or ridicule, they could invoke it to terminate his contract. Now, arguably, you could say, in light of, for example, the SNL 40th anniversary special last night, when you have people on the red carpet like Jim Carrey and Jerry Seinfeld on primetime live television poking fun at his reputation for veracity, scandal and disrepute may be at issue here.
Yeah. Now, if you look at what's happening, he's apparently meeting with his advisors to see if he can make a comeback. Is that possible?
One thing you learn in this business is that almost anything is possible, but perhaps after a decade at the Nightly News, it's time for a pivot. He's obviously very well liked. He's a well-respected person. And reportedly, he was interested, according to news reports, in a late-night position that opened up when Leno left. So perhaps NBC will find another way to use him. But whether he will sit in the anchor's chair again, that remains to be seen. I certainly can think of no other situation in my lifetime where a network news anchor has gone through this similar ordeal.
Yeah. You know, generally in any news anchor's contract, you're supposed to tell the truth. You're not supposed to really say things that are not true. So isn't that good enough for them to actually say, you're fired?
Yes, technically speaking, if that's what his contract says, if it has a standard morality clause, it could be sufficient. But it's also a black eye on the network because this wasn't the first incident, apparently, and presumably NBC conducted its due diligence. I mean, suspending someone for half a year is a pretty significant step. So, you know, my guess is going to be that they'll maintain a relationship with Brian Williams, but perhaps in a different capacity.
Now, you know this industry really well. Ratings are expected to come out. He's been away for a while now. What do you think it's going to look like?
Well, that remains to be seen. Lester Holt is also very well respected, and he has commanded a good audience in the past. So hopefully, for NBC's sake, he'll be able to maintain a lot of Williams' audience. All
right. Thank you very much. That was Dominic Romano, entertainment attorney, joining us here in New York City. You're watching Arise News Now.